Thinking about safety, I mean, 2020 is a year of change, not just in the world, but in a lot of people's perspective. And a lot of things like, if you look at like the engagement of influencers, crushed, all down like 60, 70, 80, 90%, because without their sponsored trips, without, the whole industry, like they're not that special, right? So I think people really need to start developing their brain and their education more. I'm actually going to do a post on like my fro in a little bit. And I'm going to talk about like, you don't need to care so much about your looks. Like start thinking about how to grow what's up hair, right? I'm going to use that joke maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
I think anybody that's a marketing nerd should just go to Tim's websites and check out how the funnel is structured. You can look at his ads and everything too, just to get an idea of something that's really dialed in.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, I mean, we've come a long way. We've innovated. I'm trying to teach, but we're also trying to grow the business. So it's not an exact science. Like everyone's like, oh, just follow this blueprint. No, like you have to choose and you have to figure out what's your demographic, what's the opportunity, what's your value proposition, what's the right price point. On this 30-day boot camp, we didn't know it would be such a huge hit. I mean, we sold nearly like 10,000 of them now at $79 a pop. And it frankly should be worth like $700. But sometimes you offer something that's just so good and people love it, and you want people to see that because then they start saying, oh, wait a minute, like now I trust you more. I take your education more seriously. So I think everyone should have no matter what they do, they should have like a low priced or even a free guide, which kind of becomes like your virtual business card these days.
Got it. What would you say, Tim Sykes' mission 8 years ago compared to his mission now? What do you think the difference is?
I mean, I always wanted to just cut through the BS and show that there's a lot of opportunity with penny stocks. So a lot can happen over the years. And I think people really need to realize no matter what business they're in, you're going to have the most success 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in. So what can you do today, this week, this month to position yourself properly for years from now? But too many people don't think that. A lot of people in the internet space are like, got to make as much money as I can in year one. And you're just not going to do that. If you think short term, you won't build properly. You won't build a solid foundation. You won't be patient, and you'll probably end up burning your customers, and you'll probably end up burning yourself. Just like a lot of penny stock promoters, like all the penny stock promoters that, I used to expose, they burnt through all their customers. They lost everybody, and people gradually gravitated towards me because they saw that I was right. So people can hate me at first. They can love me. I don't care. What I care about is how you play the game over time, and can it increase your wealth? Can you increase your knowledge account?
You know what's good? I think how you grew your first Instagram account past 1 million people is you're unapologetically you, right? You'll say whatever you want, and you'll do whatever you want too. And so I guess the question would be, first Instagram account, people are like, oh, everyone wants a big Instagram account. How do we get to 1 million followers? You've done it. So you've done it twice. Do you have any advice for people that want to grow their Instagram account?
3 times now. Save the Reef is closing in on 1 million too. Wow. You really just have to look at your industry and see where the opportunity is. For me, at first, I'm a stock trader. Why should you get into stocks? Like, what's the reason? Oh, it's money. Let me show off the money. So I did that. I didn't mean to get in fights with rappers. I just woke up a few days and like broke rappers would steal my photos, and then I would call them out. And like a radio station had me on and they're like, Tim Sykes, you're petty. I was like, I am petty. I accept that. But when a rapper steals my photo and he's got millions of followers, and then, Bow Wow did a post like, everyone go attack Timothy Sykes. And I was like, oh, damn. And he linked me. But because my photos were better than his, I got like 400,000 followers like over 2 days, and people attacking me. What do? They put a little L or a little snake emoji. And I'm like, I don't feel attacked. And I just doubled my followers. Attack me more. So that was just, a lucky coincidence. So you try different stuff and you see what takes off. And that's all I can say. I can't compare, trying to save the rhino with getting in fights with rappers, but both of them went viral. So you have to try to figure out what can you do to really get your point across, and understand you don't want to just go viral for the wrong reasons. Like I could post a lot of stuff, but it's not consistent with who I am or with my brand. But if I'm exposing misinformation with rhinos, that's consistent with our charity. If I'm showing off my money and being petty, that's who I am. So I'll show that off. And I think that you have to understand what your goals are, who you are. And then, it doesn't have to be straight, like right to who you are to go viral, but you have to start to think, where are the opportunities for people to share it? And a lot of stupid stuff gets shared. A lot of negativity gets shared. TikTok dances now get shared. I'm not a dancer. If I could do a dance, I could probably go more viral, but
I mean, people listen, they're like, oh, they want tactics, right? But I think more importantly, you're giving the high level strategy in terms of, hey, like you're testing, you're experimenting with things. Some things might bomb, right? A long documentary, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. But, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. I mean, when it comes to putting together an ideal client profile, you're just thinking about what might the customer want? How do I iterate on that? And that's it, right? Forget about the tactics. Let's think about.
It's not always just about the ROI. I think too many people are focused on the ROI, especially in your industry. You got to have more goals in life, right? Like if you're already sufficient, if you're already knowledgeable, if you already know that there's going to be value for your services, try and do something for others. Try and do something for the world. When you look back on life, you're not going to be like on your deathbed, like, oh, what is my bank account? Okay, I hit 100 million. Then I can die. No, you're going to be like, what did I do with that 100 million? What did I do with my time? What did I do with my life? And I think that a lot of the problems we have in this world today is because people weren't thinking about others. People weren't thinking about what they were leaving behind. And we need to change that.
I think it's impact over ROI or impact over revenues. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and impact over profits. Like, I love that Elon Musk, I mean, whenever he does like a conference call, he's like, yeah, Tesla's record profits, but, we're not trying to make record profits. We're trying to change the world. Like he said, before his stock just went up like 10 times, he said, I think Tesla stock is overvalued. No other CEO says that, right? But he's just being honest. He's being blunt, and that gives him extra credibility. And because he said, I think Tesla stock is overvalued in a tweet, everyone's like, what? Like, how? This is crazy. Why would you say that? Not one other CEO has ever said that in any tweet or any press release, because they're specifically trying to get the stock up. They're trying for record profits. He has a different goal, a different way of thinking, and it's frankly paid off much more than a lot of the people who are always just kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Like most CEOs, I would compare to penny stock promoters. They're just cheerleaders. You're never going to get the real information. I mean, the day before Bear Stearns filed for bankruptcy, I think it was the CEO or CFO was on CNBC. They said, hey, how's everything? And they're like, it's fine. Everything's fine. They went bankrupt the next day. So like, you just can't trust management. You can't trust most people. The more real, the more blunt that you can be, that increases your credibility, that increases your value in this messed up world.
I love that.
I really like hit makers. It's like the art and science of becoming, what is a hit? And I think that'll work well with your audience. Have you read that?
I haven't heard of it either.
That one is good because it talks about a lot of things that become hits, not necessarily the way that you think. Like a lot of the best artists are only, really triumphant after death for the wrong reasons. I'll give you a quick story because this one actually really helps. There are like, I forget the exact numbers. I'm not great with exact sciences, but there's like 7 greatly valued artists from France. And you're like, why are these artists, their paintings go for 50, 75, 100 million? Why is this so? Are they better than others? There was a study done where they took these, I think it's 7 artists, again, don't quote me, but let's just say 7 artists, and they compared their art in a blind study with like 20 other artists or 50 other artists. And they did a blind study. It's like, are these pieces of art better than the others? And random people would answer. After they did the study, not one discernible difference in terms of like talent, in terms of emotion. There was nothing better. Why are these 7 artists valued at tens of millions and all these other artists who are technically proficient not valued highly? Why do you think that is? Yes.
Brand?
Yes, but what created the value of their brand so much? Because they're not better technically.
Yeah.
What increased that?
I don't know. I couldn't even guess.
So the interesting thing is there was one French aristocrat who loved these, basically broke artists. And he bequeathed the National Museum these artists' paintings along with all the famous artists of the time. And they said, look, here, on my death, give it all to the National Gallery. And it became a big controversy because the National Gallery was very happy to accept the famous artists of the time, but they didn't want to accept these 7 like broke losers. And they were like, no. But in his will, he's very specific. You have to accept all of my paintings or none at all. So it was in the courts for like a year or two. The French newspapers are reporting on every single development. And then eventually the National Museum was forced to take everything. So they put all the paintings in the National Museum. Which paintings got the most popularity? It was these 7 controversial artists, not because they were better artists, just because they were in the press for 2 years and everyone wanted to see for themselves, oh, is this better? Does this deserve to be in the National Museum? And then because so many people came to see it, that made these 7 artists more famous than the other people. So it's so stupid to think about who became like the best artist. You could train your entire life, but if you just get controversy and press, your paintings could theoretically be valued, multiple times more. And that's a really important lesson for all entrepreneurs, all people. If you want success, it's not just about your skill. I know there's a lot of people who say like, just be quiet, let your work do the talking. No, not at all. Get loud. Have your work be quality, but get loud and get attention for it however you can.
What's the best way for people to find you online?
Google "is Timothy Sykes a scam" and see what happens, and start laughing, and understand that I enjoy my haters. My first hater was also my first millionaire student, and I encourage the hate, because even though the haters think that they're hurting me, they're helping me sift through non-dedicated students.
I love that. Tim, thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.